everyone, and welcome to the Beyblade X final episode review for technically Season 1. I'll be going over the last 3 episodes of 49, 50, and 51. I'll save any Season 2 thoughts and breakdown for a following video. But with that being said, I do want to give a huge shout out to the Hoshi Yoyumi team for any of the subs for the 49 and 50 that I'll be referencing, and Kyo for any translation notes. So starting off with 49, we have Invisible. What's really kind of interesting is to kind of see sort of how each of the teams kind of mirror each other for their dynamic. Like, Multi lost, but Team Persona reassures Multi by saying, hey, we still got a chance in this. We can still win. But the reverse of it is like Sealer Shiru, where it's like, Chrome, I'll show to you my value and worth to Pendragon. I'll show you why you need to keep me here, why I deserve to be here. Chrome does not give a fuck about him. It's really hilarious. Like, this guy devoted everything to Chrome, and Chrome cannot even, like, dude, bat an eye to him. Chrome is just, like, locked into facing Common X, which that's what Shiguru basically says. So Chrome is basically locked into facing Common X, and everyone's like, whoa, this intensity. I also like, similar in the Phoenix Feather build up to Phoenix Wing, how Bird can kind of see, like, these manifestations, like, the spirit thing. Like, he can actually see, like, the copy of X Korusu that Chrome has made up, but it doesn't, like, fully reveal until a lot later on, which I think is really, really interesting that Bird can just have that kind of ability to see. Realize that, he's like, hey, let's have some fun. And he's like, nah, just let's battle. I want to show you that I don't need you anymore, that we have surpassed you. Something I really do like too is actually the fact that there are multiple round battles in this context, because normally with how I thought how Olem adapted in general for Beyblade, for Burst, and this includes X, I think multiple rounds is kind of whatever. I feel like I prefer one long battle. Like, we've had it possible in the past. At least narratively wise, this works well for me. So for an example, it's Drawn Buster versus Cobalt Drake at the start, and he bursts Cobalt Drake right away. And he's like, well, you just defeated my past self. And something that's really interesting is this idea of existence and, like, purpose, I guess, because for the longest time since X Korusu left Pendragon, he's been trying to kind of fill that void, whether it be trying to make Shiru try to, like, replace Common, eventually just trying to relive all the experience, try to become one with him to surpass him. His existence is tied to him, but what's really cool is how that really sets up Cobalt Dragoon and the importance. I think, maybe a hot take or not, I feel a lot of times when the bays kind of evolve, or not really evolve, but when they get a new bay, I don't feel a lot of times there's much of a feeling for it. Like, it's so tied to his character development is kind of what I mean. Like, in Burst, like, it's just the bay breaks and they get a new one. And there's not really maybe much significance I can think of off the top of my head for a lot of that stuff, but that's something I really enjoy with Beyblade X. I think it's really cool, too, that everyone acknowledges how crazy it is that he has a left Beyblade, and they're so shocked by it. Naturally, they should be. It's the first left rotating bay they've seen, which does mean that Dragoon sets the precedent in that universe, which is kind of cool. He does basically Dragonic Break, which, from my understanding, the big difference between Dragonic Break in the manga and in the anime is that in the manga, you're just doing one full extreme dash, but in the anime, it's actually 2, which is kind of interesting that they did it like that, and it ends off with Drawn Buster kind of being broken. This episode for 49, I think, is more setting up to the final conflict between Common versus Chrome. So, like, it's more like the setup that I think is nice. Like, most of the episode is kind of just dragged on, like, a small recap on both of the characters to, like, pad out the episode, which is kind of whatever. We do get into 50, which is 2 X's, which I think is funny, because that's, like, what Dragonic Break is for the anime, 2 extreme dashes. What's kind of cool here is how, when he's breaking each of the bays one by one, something else that I thought was cool, Multi mentions, it's like, his psyche requires that he has to beat Common, or X Korusu, with the exact same technique to show that he has literally surpassed him. Because remember, he's been reliving all the experience of X Korusu because he wants to become one with him, and then after surpass him in power and strength. That's something I think it's really interesting to see how, like, unhinged Chrome is, because it gets to the point where Chrome is just going, like, I guess philosophical at this point, talking about the existence, this purpose, whatever. And it's so funny because, to contrast, like, Common doesn't really understand that Chrome has this unhinged obsession over him. and then Chrome has like very strong feelings because he's trying to like surpass him. He has so much anger, and he's like, oh, well, I just want to have fun. I'm really having fun right now battling, so this is gonna be a fun final battle. And I think that's, and I also think it's really cool that what is really cool about this is you basically have the first BEYBLADE X release against like the last one for season 1, and up until this point he's basically been breaking the base that Multi has made for him, but now he has the opportunity to truly surpass X Kurusu with his original Beyblade, so he will feel fulfilled in his purpose. Like, he will finally see that he does not need X Kurusu. He will prove that he can be stronger. He has quote-unquote become one with X Kurusu because he has relived all the experience. His method and how he made everything leading into Cobalt Dragoon. This is going to prove that his resolve is stronger. Of course, we see that X Kurusu is just built different, but I really like the setup for this, for the final battle. And what I think is really neat in the final battle is that X Kurusu adapts in that final match to literally copy the exact same technique he used with Dragonic Break after just seeing it, even doing it stronger than Chrome was able to do. And then after beating him, X is like, hey, I would have never gotten this strong if it weren't thanks to you. And he's really happy at the end for the battle. Difference in the anime and the manga is that he says, I always, but then he faints. But I'm pretty sure they're referencing the line in the manga when he says, I always wanted to be needed by you. So then after he basically faints at the end. And then after it's all up to Shiru in versus Bird for the final episode. I think for 50 was pretty interesting for a lot of the visuals that we got to see. I think 50 was very strong narratively and for the character writing, but I feel like a lot of the visuals, other than like obviously I guess like the final shot, which was really nice, a lot of the stuff like when they're in space and whatever, it's kind of similar thoughts to Burn versus Common X, where I feel like I see the vision, but I don't like the execution. So I still think it's definitely better than a lot of the other battles we've seen in X, but yeah, I thought it was okay. Now, 51, I think, is really, really strong. Now, 51 is where basically Shiru reveals that he is actually Common Z all along. And what's nice about here is that in the manga, you don't give a shit at all about this. Like, who the fuck is that guy? But the anime actually built up his identity and his path up until now, so you actually care when he reveals who he is. It's so interesting how for both of these characters, they both have a purpose to prove for themselves. Like, Shiru's trying to prove that he's worthy to be on Pendragon, and I mean, it's such a good contrast between both characters trying to like prove their worth for being at the top, for being a quote-unquote, to be a pro, I'm putting pro in like quotation marks because Shiru's like there's a very good amateur record or whatever. But yeah, what's something that's really cool that they also mention. So Burtis kind of reflects on a lot of the past bladers for their motivation, like and like kind of like what drives her, like Takumi's like pride and that type of stuff. And I thought that was kind of cool. I also like how they kind of do a redemption for Pakkun, because Pakkun was an annoying little shit for a long time, but he actually went to Pakkun and asked him to help him with using Hell's Hammer, and it kind of makes sense, right? Because Pakkun beat him with that Bey that he copied. And even though Multi made the Bey, like Pakkun actually mastered it, so I thought that was a really cool way of the tying that character to have him have some use in the finale. Anything else? I'm trying to think what else. I mean, there's some other small stuff, but like in these episodes, they do a lot of like references to some other stuff and statements, whatever, so I think that's nice how they connect a lot of the dots. Basically, Bird just goes through each of his Beys, similar to that of Common X, similar to that of Multi, blah, blah, blah. So, Hell's Hammer goes for a lot of these hits, whatever, he loses stamina. Hell's Chain tries to, again, loses. I also do like that the last Bey that he goes to is Hell's Scythe, because I'm pretty sure it was like the episode where Multi's talking about the origin, where basically it's like, hey, well, I made this Bey for you, basically. And what's really cool here is that he tries to copy Tiguru's technique with Hell's Scythe, and he manages to get 1 point of victory. So technically speaking, this is Bird's first victory in Beyblade X. Even though it's not full, but still, I'll count that, I guess. For the final round, when he's trying to do like this Dragonic breaking, whatever, he fails a few times on attempting it, and he eventually gets to do it, where I think it's just like Imitation Dragonic Breaker, whatever, but in this one, they rename it to Revolve Judgment. And what's really cool is that in the final impact, you actually see Hell's Scythe cracking and breaking, but where I think there's an L for the anime for the change here is that they make it where, so the extreme dash is occurring, right? And this is why I don't like how, by the way, I'm firm on this, I don't like how OLM does their draws. I don't like how OLM does the over finish, the knockouts, or like the extreme finish. I think it's really stupid, just because, like, I understand it's for the animation, whatever, but it's really annoying when they play a lot of this shit. Like, what, like the extreme dash is like what, touching like an invisible glass wall? I don't know, whatever. So basically they have it where his Bey loses, because even though he got the extreme finish, right, his Bey stopped ending before that point. in the manga is Bey bursts, which makes more sense. If you do an extreme dash, you can get bit sniped or ratchet sniped. So I don't like that change. I think that was really stupid. I like, though, in general, when they kind of emphasize this point, like Bird smiling at the end, like he had fun. That's what really is the main thing. Like throughout this, like Bird talks to Common X and Multi and like, hey, just enjoy yourself and remember to have fun. And it kind of ties into that thing at the end. So I think the anime overall, in terms of the finale and everything, I think if they did Bird a lot more justice, obviously, than the manga, because like the manga is very limited in their space and whatever, but the anime did do something right where they added a lot of things of Bird practicing, actually being smart, even though I think there are times where they kind of make Bird a little bit too stupid for my liking, for the writing for him losing and that type of stuff, but I think overall, like, the finale, it's a nice bunch of episodes to kind of end off. Like, I would say maybe technically the last quarter of episodes are very, very, probably, like, the strongest for Beyblade X. Like, from the common fiasco to, like, the end is where I would say I really enjoyed it narratively. I think in terms of overall, like, if I were to put this on a tier list, not thinking too hard about it, 'cause, I might even want to do a full video doing a breakdown on it, I would probably say Beyblade X is, like, good mid. Like, what Beyblade X does super, super well is that they have very well-written characters, the story's very well-written, you really feel connected to what they are writing. I feel that's a thing that either the animes that we've seen in the past for Beyblade either haven't done, most looking at burst, or haven't done to the extent that Beyblade X has done. Like, I feel like I give a lot more of a shit about the world of the Beyblade X characters than I do maybe of, like, let's say, the world of, like, maybe Beyblade Burst, maybe even Metal Fights, but I'm not going too crazy. I'd have to really, like, sit there and think about it, but in terms of what I did not like about Beyblade X overall, as will lead into this, I'll say subscribe to the channel and comment your thoughts. But what I would say I probably didn't like about Beyblade X, I would say generally speaking, the art and the animation are just, like, not kind of the last few episodes, which I thought had some decent direction. They've been pretty, like, below the average that we've seen, and I think you have to kind of acknowledge that. I feel a lot of times, and listen, like, it goes without saying that Beyblade X is, and Beyblade in general, always is going to be in this anime production hell. Like, I don't think Beyblade should be, like, 51 episodes. I think you could probably get that accomplished in a lot less. Like, the poor people that probably have to work on this project going through hell, but there's just too much about a lot of, like, the visuals and a lot of the stuff when I'm watching where I'm like, I would probably say, too, the battles are hit or miss. I think near the end, they got a little bit better. I think the choreography and the pacing is kind of my issue. It doesn't feel that creative, and it feels a little bit slow for a lot of the stuff. And I felt crazy because I thought, dude, how did Metal Fight do this shit years ago or Bucket didn't shoot? It's just I don't like how OLM adapts some of the battles. And I will stand firmly on that. Like, I'm not counting, like, the best. Like, for example, like, Aiga vs. Fly is something I really, really enjoy for, like, the pacing and that type of stuff, and like, the choreography, but that's, like, the exception of being at the end. But I mean, like, I don't know. There's big highs in Beyblade X, and really, really, really big lows. I would probably say the music is really good for Beyblade X. Anyways, well, Mall oh, shit. Oh, okay, well, I better put the Mall Bays thing right there, otherwise I just showed something I shouldn't have, which is the Nico Art keychain, potentially. But, yeah, it's an optional way to support the channel. I appreciate any support regardless. What did you think of the anime? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I don't know. Let me know. Who was your favorite character in the season? What was your favorite episode of the season? But whether you like or dislike it, listen, let's be calm and civil. Relax. Alright, anyways, thank you for watching. I'll have a Season 2 breakdown for another video because I'm exhausted. Alright, take care and bye.